Welcome to Uberdanken. This is the first video not only to this series, but first to this channel. Today we will be discussing an epicenter of excitement, the existing and future of the movie series How to Train Your Dragon. To do so, we must start at the beginning. So for those that don't already know, How to Train Your Dragon is a movie about a Viking boy named Hiccup Horrendous Haddock III. He is the son of Stoic the Vast, chief of the Viking village Berk. In the first scene of the movie, one of Hiccup's inventions works, shooting down a dragon with a weighted net, specifically a Night Fury, being the most unknown of and deadly of dragons. This scene alone catapults the story into motion. This first scene was excellent. All characters were introduced in their appropriate character, Stoic, the protecting leader with a mindset of violence and anger first. Gobber, the positive, logical, caring friend and assisting father figure. Astrid, the tougher yet understanding dream girlfriend. Toothless, the victim of the situation who later acts like an older sibling to Hiccup, as well as a symbol of all our pets. Then there's the other Danes. Not only did they introduce all the main characters, but they showed this scene in beautiful yet symbolic detail. The opening scene of Berk, an island as a symbolic sitting duck in the open ocean paired with perfect, serious tone-setting music, focusing the viewers to the village which is then spoken of by the main character. Then there's the eeriness of a misty, hilly forest treading trails to both what you hope to and not to find. Then there's the essence of the beautiful peace-beaming nature of the cove that Toothless is home in. Then the doom-incepting look of the caged dragon center, with this music to top it off. This continues with the exquisite throb from this music. Same goes for the Dragon Manual, with a candle surrounded by darkness showing isolation while placing focus on Hiccup in the book. And then this music.
Night Fury. Speed unknown. Size unknown. Great.
Pick up.
That all follows with the adrenaline spiking rush here, topped with this music. Then there's this sequence, expressing the beauty of flying.
admit it. This is pretty cool. It's amazing.
And then the rock tower symbolizing that something bigger and stronger than you is just behind this divider. All of this and much more in one incredible work of art. With that comes very high expectations for the sequel. For the original How to Train Your Dragon movie, DreamWorks spent $165 million with a domestic gross of $217.5 million. When they made How to Train Your Dragon 2, they spent $165 million, but only got $177 million in domestic gross. That's approximately $40.5 million that didn't show up, paired with many other financial failures like Mr. Peabody and Sherman, Turbo, Penguins of Madagascar, and so on. This allegedly led to the restructuring of DreamWorks, or in other words, mass layoffs that cut 500 jobs in early 2015. This was personally disappointing for Jeffrey Katzenberg, one of the founders of DreamWorks, as Katzenberg had been laid off from Disney in 1994 due to the death of Frank Wells. The resentment towards his layoff is the main reason that DreamWorks was even founded. So what made How to Train Your Dragon 2 fail financially so severely? And what's the mean for How to Train Your Dragon 3? To answer that, we will need to look into both public opinions of the sequel along with facts. On IMDb, How to Train Your Dragon 1 has an average rating of 8.1. How to Train Your Dragon 2 has an average rating of 7.8, which isn't much of a difference. However, one must note the amount of reviews of the original How to Train Your Dragon movie compared to the sequel. Over 554,000 ratings compared to just over 249,000 for How to Train Your Dragon 2, showing a lot of people didn't bother with the movie. Why? First view equals a picky opinion. When people watch the sequel in theaters, they will automatically have a drastic opinion of tiny details, and that is what will be focused on when spreading their opinion to potential viewers who will be looking for a trusted opinion. As many reviews on IMDb show, a second viewing is needed to see an honest, open view of How to Train Your Dragon 2. Let's dive into details. Starting from How to Train Your Dragon 2's opening scene, we start with more great music leading to Hiccup once again speaking to focus attention of the viewers. This is where it goes wrong. Where the original dived into introducing the characters, atmosphere, and situation, How to Train Your Dragon 2 opens into an unnecessary sequence of dragon racing. This didn't need to be in the movie and irritated many viewers. The next scene of the film is really the one I personally think they should have started with. It takes you back to the adrenaline rush of the first movie with more inventing from Hiccup, further showing he is still the same Hiccup we all remember. Plus, the scene shows the same strong connection between Hiccup and Toothless as the original. This is then paired with the visual reveal of the Timberjack, a dragon that can cut down fully grown trees, formerly shown in the original movie inside the Dragon Manual. This follows with Hiccup and Toothless testing and crashing Hiccup's flight suit, with Toothless saving him yet again. Except into more misty stone towers just like the original movie, acting as a symbolic divider showing something bigger and stronger than you is about to be revealed, but this time with Hiccup, therefore hinting that Stoick's chieftain responsibilities are about to be Hiccup's, creating a full circle across two films so far. What follows is an island that appears as if it's in the air, signifying Hiccup and Toothless connection as isolated yet beautiful, with Hiccup randomly joking of a war between Vikings and dragons, likely referring to How to Train Your Dragon 3's plot, being that dragons are gone at the end. More on that later. The next scene unfortunately shows Toothless only acting as a pet, and therefore only being half of his overall character. Fast forward a bit and you have this, an iceberg of dragon breath, symbolizing a crown showing the political innuendos that are to follow in this film. Next, Hiccup asks pointless questions along with pointless statements.
What happened here? Alright, easy, bud.
Then the new characters finally show up, with irritating sidekicks. But not only that, Ashford has switched character from being the lead in the original movie to being Hiccup's sidekick, and from being the strong front to being a calmed, supporting slave for Hiccup's every wish. They should have rather had Hiccup and Astrid show up with Stormfly being captured the same way, but with Astrid taking Hiccup's flaming sword and leaving Hiccup with the stick. with Astrid, who normally notices small details,
You said wouldn't that time.
pointing out that Aerith said,
Without do-gooder dragon riders sneaking in to rescue them.
What do-gooder? There are other dragon riders?
following as it does, but without the unrealistic banter.
You have an ice-spitting dragon on your side, but we still have a quota to fill.
Alright, look, we don't know anything about a dragon thief or an ice-spitting dragon, okay? Just give us back our dragon and we'll go. Strange, hostile person whom we've never met.
Oh, where are my manners? I'm Eret, son of Eret. Drago Bloodfist's finest dragon trapper alive. After all, it's not just anyone who can capture a Night Fury.
And this is Toothless. He says we're going. Now.
Ha! They all say that. Rush 'em, lads!
The movie then could have introduced Burke, as it partially already does.
Beautiful day. Almost spent out. Great race. Oh, sorry, Mr. Frank. Any sign of him?
Ah, he's probably flown off the edge of the world by now. You sure you want that kid running the village? You can still delay your retirement.
Oh, he's ready. You'll see.
Unfortunate note is the cliche found here.
Don't worry, bud. I'm not gonna let anything happen to you. I promise.
With this happening, a natural entry of a character with unnecessarily dramatic reactions to a fairly calm scenario, with Valka having unsuitable ice dancer-like movements as she goes about. Also, is it just me, or could have they focused on the idea that Valka stayed away considering that the dragons needed her to save them from Drago, instead of just claiming she thought Hiccup would be best without her? And what happened to Toothless' overall character in the writer's mind? Toothless is just a dog in How to Train Your Dragon 2. And then another cliche is here, empty speech about the past.
When I think of how stubborn and senseless you were back in the day. Well, not much has changed, actually.
There's a lot of violence here. And problem, why didn't Gobber help Stoic here? I mean, you have a fire-breathing dragon right beneath you. If you're wondering why Stoic didn't get incinerated, it's animation. No one wants to see that. Alright, sorry. Focusing on what's good about How to Train Your Dragon 2, there's the fact showing that following your heart is a bad way of looking at things, as you end up focusing too much on what you want, blinding yourself to the dangers of things in others' interests. In Hiccup's case, leading to Valka his mother, but killing his father after failing to convince Drago. Therefore, only following what he wants as priority. Therefore, also ignoring his father's warnings. So, a few positive notes are: 1. The aspect of Hiccup trying to find his purpose, as many of the target audience would be doing so at the same time. 2. The visual appeal of this. 3. The music here.
Hey, I thought we were going to eat.
Oh, we are!
In 5 here. along with Sits, the maturing of the characters and how they will likely develop into How to Train Your Dragon 3 as more mature, controlled selves. 7. The well done shot here. And 8. This music.
Hang on! Almost there, buddy, almost there!
9. This music.
Not again.
10, a whole lot more. I suggest watching the movie and enjoying it for yourself. Same goes with the original. Okay, here's an interview with the director about How to Train Your Dragon 3.
You have to wait until the third film to actually see where Drago's character goes, because he's a lot more complex than he's presented in this second installment.
What can you tease people about, like a log line or anything about the third movie in terms of story, and what you've sort of teased at the end of the second film?
Well, it's the culmination of Hiccup's coming of age, and so both he and Toothless are now chiefs of their respective tribes, and it's a dueling story where you have both characters trying to do what's right for their kind, and an eventual outcome where Hiccup's able to kind of stand on his own. And we're going to take the story to where the books begin, which is Hiccup as an adult reflecting back at a time when there were dragons, suggesting that the dragons will in some way go away, and why and could they come back, and what the mystery of all that is will be saved for the actual story.
I will say, I speak for all fandom and say that sounds cool. All of you, congratulations on How to Train Your Dragon 2.
Thank you.
Fantastic work. Thank you for your time.
Thanks so much.
Alright, what does this all mean for How to Train Your Dragon 3? 1. Hiccup will almost definitely have a new flight suit. Toothless will be the chief of the dragons, and Hiccup will fulfill his role as chief of Berk. Along with Hiccup and Toothless finding another Night Fury, as was hinted here.
Who knows? Maybe we'll finally track down another Night Fury. Wouldn't that be something?
Toothless and the other dragons will leave, and Toothless will be able to fly on his own, creating a 3-movie circle across 3 films, considering that the only reason that any Viking on Berk ever rid a dragon is that Toothless couldn't fly on his own. I must mention that before Toothless was chief, he did have a tail that he could fly on his own, but got rid of it in the spin-off due to not wanting or needing to fly on his own.
You don't need this anymore. Come on, let's get going. If you quit fooling around, you have your new tail now. Toothless? Toothless, stop! What are you doing?
Train Your Dragon 3 will include the deeper perspective of Drago, as well as Drago likely being a good guy in How to Train Your Dragon 3, along with Hiccup's inventing abilities to only get better, possibly showing Drago other ways of protecting people. Especially since this was hinted here, Drago is positive when inventions are able to control the dragons, which may be Drago and Hiccup's primary connection, considering he would be the only male father-like figure who approves of Hiccup's inventing. This would then follow the idea that Drago was just misunderstood as Toothless was misunderstood. 5. Gobber will likely act as a father figure to Hiccup, as he partially already did in How to Train Your Dragon 1. This could go even further, with either Velka or Gobber talking about the past when Stoic was still around. One thing that many of you have been wondering is why Hiccup and Astrid aren't married after so many years. What many don't know is that they were actually engaged in the TV show in this scene. So what you can expect is dreamers to either already have married, and included in the spin-off, or for them to be married early into the third film, or, although the audience probably wouldn't take well to it, is having Astrid leave Hiccup, possibly for Aerith, as was continually expanded upon in the sequel, when Astrid shows approval to Aerith here, then Aerith and Astrid riding together, and then when she says,
You really are full of surprises. Ugh, let's go.
This would further make sense considering that the book series that the movies are based from don't have Astrid anywhere in them. If she ditched him after so many years and a proposal, it's understandable why Hiccup wouldn't have included her. Further proof of this could be found in the movie cover of How to Train Your Dragon 2, hinting that as said and confirmed, Toothless will be gone, hence the hint of him being distant from Hiccup, but with Astrid also being distant from Hiccup in this cover. Having Hiccup's two closest companions ripped from him would make for quite a touching story, and would also be the story that the director, Dean DeBois, could understand, considering that when he was 19, his very close father died. Dean has stated that that event is what triggered him changing from a boy to becoming a man. Hiccup's closest companions being ripped from him would be like Dean's story, which makes it likely that Dean would make How to Train Your Dragon 3 go this way. Hiccup's story of becoming stronger despite his losses is a story that we as humans will likely all go through. It would make the end of the series a story that we can all learn from, and one we can look back on for comfort and advice in our troubled futures. Making an animation like this is something which no other company than DreamWorks would do, further having a connection to How to Train Your Dragon 2's Son Where No One Goes with How to Train Your Dragon 3. Overall, How to Train Your Dragon 3 will likely be a masterpiece and is not a movie to miss. If you're wondering what to do in the meantime, watch the movies like I said, or if you ignore the movie storyline and don't mind dry humor, there's a TV show too. The director and writer Dean DeBois has already mentioned that there will be some spin-offs to follow How to Train Your Dragon 3. Overall, my hope is that by this video, the How to Train Your Dragon crew won't make the same mistakes on How to Train Your Dragon 3, especially in the loss of Toothless's overall character, in that I can bring some excitement back to the How to Train Your Dragon series. If you like more videos like this, be sure to like it and subscribe, as I have much more planned. Over and out.